The Shape of Water is a film by Guillermo Del Toro, and it stars Sally Hawkins, Richard Jenkins, and Michael Shannon. So right off the bat, this is Toro back at it again, writing, directing, and producing the film. So obviously I was really excited to see this movie because I think he's a pretty damn good film director. But to be quite honest, I haven't really been vastly impressed with the stuff that he's been coming out with post Pan's Labyrinth. Pan's Labyrinth is just it's a gorgeous, perfect piece of filmmaking. I think that film's a masterpiece. That film's extraordinary. But after Pan's Labyrinth, there was really nothing that he himself has come out with that has really even held a candle to that film. But with The Shape of Water, he's back at it with this kind of adult fairy tale adventure. Is it as brilliant and as perfect as Pan's Labyrinth? I wouldn't say so. But it's still a very good movie, and it has great performances all across the board. Sally Hawkins, I never really heard of this chick before. She did great in the lead role for this film. Richard Jenkins, this dude is just legendary. Like, every time this guy is on screen, you just buy everything that he's doing. He can play any character. He can be in the most shittiest movie in the entire universe, but if he's in it, you're gonna buy his performance. Like, he is such a talented actor, very experienced actor. He knows what he's doing. Honestly, he played my favorite character of the film. Michael Shannon, just obviously superb. This dude is, kind of like Richard Jenkins in the sense that every single time that he's just in a movie, he's gonna give you something great. No matter what movie that you see him in, he will give you something great. And in this film, he portrays one of the best villains that I have seen all year. This dude's character is so despicable. What makes his villain character so great is not that you see where he's coming from. It's more the fact that I think his villain character represents a much larger theme that's kind of consistent throughout the film. It has to do with the American dream and the facade of the American dream, and how Michael Shannon's villain character seems to kind of represent the facade that is the American dream, or a perverse, twisted version of the American dream. And that was really interesting because not only is his villain character just super intimidating and kind of mentally psychotic in a way, you can definitely tell that his character served a central theme, or at least supported a central theme of the film. Because this movie is set in the 50s, and it looks just like the 50s, aesthetically speaking. I mean, everything down from the costume design, the set pieces, maybe the way people talk is a little weird, because sometimes the way that characters are saying certain lines sounds very modern, just sounds like, how somebody would cuss and say stuff in today's time. So, maybe that's a little iffy in my opinion, I don't know, but it seems a little weird. But, aesthetically, this looks like the 50s, and it's very bright and shiny at sometimes, and I think that was purposely done. Well, a lot of the times where the 50s were trying to be captured, it was very shiny, and you could tell that the lighting was very specific for that setting. And just in general, this is very good directing on Toro's part. This is another, one thing that Toro is known for is that, he can make aesthetically beautiful movies, and this is no different. This is a very aesthetically pleasing movie to see, and you can tell that, each frame had intention behind it. He wanted to convey certain things with literally each frame of the film. And that's something that's really special. Even for the score of the film, you can tell that was an intentional, unique choice by Toro. There's a lot of French influenced music in this, and it's used very uniquely, and I believe it worked for the film. Definitely gives the film a very kind of unique vibe to it. You don't really see much films incorporate the score in the way that this film did. It's very whimsical, it's very fantasy-like, and the way that they've kind of threw that French sounding kind of organ sound in this film was very intriguing, and I thought it was really refreshing to see. And the violence in this movie is, it's standard Toro. Again, kind of comparing it to Pan's Labyrinth, the violence in this movie is it's just done and it's executed in this very disturbing way to where, it's not fun violence. This isn't like Tarantino violence to where, you're eating popcorn to the screen and you're cheering on and, you're just loving to see people's, heads get blown off by shotguns. No, this is not that kind of violence. This violence is every single time that the violence is conveyed, it's done so purposely disturbing to where you really don't want to look at the screen. It makes it so hard for you to keep your eyes on the screen because it's just done in the most gruesome way. But it's beautiful. I like it because, and that's when you could tell again that there is intention behind the way he wanted to portray the violence. And in this movie, you could tell that there's there's things that you like, you wouldn't even like, you could tell that he really put some brain power into how he wanted to convey that certain scene with the violence incorporated in it. And it's a real treat. And I mean, I don't know if everybody be able to stomach this. This is definitely a film that's got it's got a few scenes of strong sexuality, and it's got some pretty disturbing violence in it. And, you know, I don't know if this film's going to be for everybody. I'm totally curious of how this film's going to do, you know, globally or widely or whatever. But the violence in this movie was definitely awesome. It was great. It definitely packed a punch to the film, and it gave it a certain style, and it gave it a certain stamp. It's definitely Toro's stamp, and I was just glad to see that. And, you know, in terms of the story, and, you know, the big elephant in the room, oh, how did they handle, you know, the merman and the you know, the romance between the merman and our main character? You know, it was handled pretty damn well. You know, it does kind of go far to where you know what I'm talking about. And I don't know if I bought it all the way. It seemed a little silly to me. But the film knew it was silly because there's like a scene that kind of, you know, talks about it. But I don't know. Like, I don't really thought it to be necessary. But, you know, it's not a huge negative. But, you know, I don't know. I'm just not sure if I completely bought it or if it was necessary to really add it to the film, or I didn't even think it really added anything. And the story in general, you know, it's kind of predictable, and it's a little cliche. You know, when things happen, especially in the third act, you know, at least for me, it didn't really catch me off guard. I kind of knew what was going to happen in consequence of certain things. It wasn't the most original story piece, but it was still pretty good overall. And the film as a whole was a pretty great film, in my opinion. This is definitely the best thing that Del Toro has come out with since Pan's Labyrinth. So I'm going to give The Shape of Water an A-. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed this film. I mean, I don't know if I liked it as much as the way some other people are raving about it, but I still think it's a brilliant film. And I would encourage all film lovers and even casual audiences to go see it. I don't know how they'll feel about it, but I'm sure everybody can walk away from this movie somewhat satisfied. Thank you so much for clicking on this video to hear what I had to say about Toro's The Shape of Water. If you've seen it already, please comment below and let me hear your thoughts about it. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the Misfit Pawn channel to be updated on more film-related content.